Okay, welcome to the Lobo Den Podcast. We have Lindsay Porter. We talked about the most amazing place in the world, the North Shore. So we talk about the North Shore. We talk comedy. Remember Montgomery Wards? Well, she took her son to Montgomery Wards for a base show. Prison. She worked at Lake County Jail. My dad was there, but I wasn't there. But you worked there for a little
I,
bit.
I worked there.
You worked
Yes,
there. She was
yes.
not a prisoner there. We talk about parenting, comedy, and the boat tour, which you were the leader of the boat tour,
Oh,
right?
yes, yes.
After the cabin, you were the most important person on the tour, right?
Sometimes.
The god of the Chicago River. Okay, Lobo Den.
Lobo Den, Lobo Den, Lobo Den. Lobo Den, Lobo Den, Lobo Den. Lobo Den, Lobo Den, Lobo Den.
Okay, welcome to the Lobo Den Podcast. I'm your host, Joe. Do I sound good? I sound good? I'm going to put myself up a little bit. I'm your host, and across from me is Lindsay. Yeah, there we go. It's Lindsay Porter is across from me. Hello. And to my left is Justin Smith, Comic Glove Studios. We haven't seen each other since, I don't remember. Was I in Florida? Did I come back? Have we recorded? Last time we had a cop in here in Dame, right?
Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago.
Oh, so, okay. I thought it was longer. Okay, it was 2 weeks. So we have Lindsay Porter, who grew up in the North Shore. You're Jewish adjacent. Is that what you're?
I am adjacent.
Okay, wait.
Yes.
Before that, you're a comedian. You're a mom. You were
Yeah.
in the stage and whoop, something, right?
Yeah,
Right.
whoop. Yeah.
Whoop.
Yeah.
Whoop. Whoop. Whoop.
That's pretty much it.
We
Yeah.
grew up in the same. You grew up in the North Shore.
I grew up in Highland Park. Yeah.
The Highland.
Yeah.
So you, Michael's.
Oh, Michael's for sure.
Once Upon a Bagel.
That might be after
Is
my
that
time.
newer?
That might be newer. I mean, I'm
you
really
left.
old. I left right after, like, I guess I lived there in college. And my mom died right after I was in college, and my dad sold the house and moved. So he moved in like 87 or 88. So, but he still belonged to the country club, and I still go.
What country club?
Exmoor.
Exmoor Gentile
yeah.
Club. So it's not Jewish.
It's the
Oh,
it's the
you
very
grew
end.
up right between two clubs, or I work at one club.
Uh-huh.
I work at Northmore.
Oh, at Northmore.
With
Okay. Yeah,
Jewish club.
Yeah, I knew Northmore kids. Yeah, I've been to
Yeah.
Northmore.
You're right by Lincoln School, right? Right, Edgewood. Were you on Edgewood?
No. Exmoor is on Vine by the high school, but I grew up across the street from Lincoln School.
Okay, is that the one on Green Bay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I grew up at Green Bay and Bobolink.
Okay, so Bobolink, if people don't know, Bobolink is one of the most, not exclusive. Okay, there's
Yeah.
there's two different clubs, right? I'm in golf, so there's Northmore family, Jewish club family oriented pool. It's like a social club for people to bring their family and kids. Bobolink, men only. Women are not even allowed on property. Like if you're bringing your son to caddy, did your son caddy there? You can't get out of the car.
Oh, it used to make me so mad because my mom told me that her friend went there and they brought her a drink to the car and wouldn't let her get out.
No.
And it just pissed me off. My dad played there, but there was no way he would. I mean, first of all, it was very exclusive and you had to be super rich. And so, despite belonging to a country club, it was like my dad worked for a corporation that paid for our membership back
okay.
in the like 70s and 80s when it was like part of your business networking.
Yeah.
And, and we were social members. Then later he became a golf member when he retired. But that was a fancy place. And I remember Bob Hope was a member.
At
Like,
Exmoor?
Yeah, no, not at Exmoor. At
Babbo.
Bobolink.
Or as the people call it, they call it Babbo.
Babbo,
They got the
right.
hats, they got Babbo. I know a bunch of Babbo people.
But I grew up on 780 Bobolink Road, so yeah.
You were right in Babbo. Yeah, Babbo has
I walked past there every day when I went to Edgewood because I would cut through there.
Oh, you would cut to Edgewood School?
Yeah, through Bobolink to get to Edgewood.
That's the 10th hole. If people don't know outside of golf. It's the number 10 because I've caddied there a few times. I know the caddy master there because my first time caddying, my first week's caddying in Northmore as a 16-year-old. Because did you know any caddies, any loopers?
I didn't.
No. So my first time looping, the dude I was this Colombian guy, right, named Nicky, and he just looks at me and he was like, "Do you like to lick ass?" And I'm like, I'm 16, he's in his 20s, and I'm like, what? And he just messes me on the 4 caddy spots. You go together to go watch the balls, and he just fucked with me, said all these disgusting things to me, and I was like, I like this dude. I like Nicky. He was a soccer player. What now? Once you get in like certain country clubs and golf, like you're there, you're like become a lifer.
Yeah.
in that
Well,
business.
I can't say too much because my husband has a friend who's a caddy at a place that I cannot mention, and he goes and plays on the off days, and he's got a whole deal worked out there, but
Is he
I
is
can't
your
talk
is
about
he
it.
a drunk?
Probably.
Because this is
Yeah.
my theory. There's the older Mexican caddies that didn't have papers. There was the younger ones, and there's a few of us part timers that still caddy on the weekends, and we just make extra money. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
good money and it's
Yeah.
cash. You know, you can make like on tournaments sometimes like $800 a day in cash, and
Crazy.
you're
Yeah.
and it's like all right. But and then there's the older. We always had the older white dudes. Who were I call the winos because they were
Yeah.
like they were alcoholics.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure he knows a few of these guys.
Yeah.
The guy he knows is a pro, so that's the one who hooked him. But
Oh,
anyway.
okay. No, the caddy is a golf pro, or he got hooked up by the pro.
he got hooked up by the pro.
He got
So,
hooked up with pro,
yeah.
but yeah, enough golf talk. You were best friends with is it Carrell, right? Steve
No,
Carrell?
no, not best friends. Just went to college.
Lovers. No,
And I have seen him naked, but not if we just
in person
he was streaking with another friend of mine.
as a
But
bit or
no, yeah, just streaking around the campus, and there was a lot of shenanigans. We were, he's 2 years older than I am, and we were in a bunch of plays together
Okay.
in college. Um,
you were an actress.
yeah, yeah, and he was a very understated history major, really funny, but not attention getting, like not a attention seeker kind of comedian, just super understatedly quiet, smart.
Did he turn it on stage and off stage?
Oh yeah, on
In-
stage, totally.
Intro to like that. I
Yeah.
know those guys. You
Yeah.
get off at stage and you've done enough shows or been around. Or I don't know if you're there where it's like on stage and one person you get off. It's like I don't want to talk to anybody.
Yeah. Well, and he wasn't unfriendly or anything. He was just very normal, like so normal.
Oh wait, frontal or you saw everything? You saw him naked.
Oh yeah, I don't really. It was dark. He was running around with another friend of mine
Okay.
through the campus.
And then I used to. You're not drinking today, but you never were a heavy drinker, were you?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
was. Yeah, oh yeah, are you in college and stuff? And even at, oh yeah, yeah,
Really? You have a
Binger.
kidney thing, right?
I do. Oh wow, you've done your research.
A little bit.
But that's but that's unrelated. That's a genetic disease. That was
Okay.
really unrelated. I probably might have sped it up a little bit, but not much because my sister, who's a complete teetotaler, has the same
Teetotaler?
disease. Teetotaler.
What's
No,
that word?
that means no drinking.
Oh, she's
Yeah,
a.
she's
I
a
don't remember if our generation remember straight edge,
yeah, she's kind of a straight yeah. But her name is Sarah, and her friend group calls her
plain and tall.
non-toxic Sarah because I have another friend who drinks. They call her
Toxic Sarah.
So my sister is non-toxic Sarah, but she also has the same disease, and her kidneys failed at about the same time I did. So it wasn't related to drinking.
Okay, but
But
you already knew you had it, and you were like, I'm
I was
gonna
like,
drink
fuck
it.
it. Yeah, my mom died from it, and
Oh,
or
it's the disease.
complications of this disease, not directly from the disease. And I was like, I was 19, and they were like, when you get into your 40s, you'll probably have problems. And I was like, 40s? Fuck it. I don't
Oh,
care. I'm 19.
yeah.
Other people really worry about it. I was not. I did not think about the future. That wasn't my
I
thing.
don't think people. Well, there's some people that think about the future.
My 16-year-old daily is like, will I I'll ever be able to afford a mortgage? I'm like, I never thought about why are you talking about
What?
this?
Who?
What are you
Who
talking
are you?
about?
Is it a new generation thing? Maybe because they're on a computer a lot.
Well, and they hear stuff. I don't know. I was like, I don't care. It'll work out. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mortgage.
I mean, yeah.
What is it? They have the existential crisis dread, or I don't know what it's called. It's a thing.
I was definitely having an existential crisis too when I was that age, but I just had a different I had a different, instead of worrying about, I just was like, let's get drunk and really high. So,
Marijuana.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I was
yeah.
more of a
Was it?
drinker.
Yeah,
Um,
probably both.
I
for me.
loved it. What was your go-to drinking? Let me.
Beer, just like a beer girl. I'm still a beer girl. I
Were
just
you
like
in a
drink.
sorority? Why
Oh
did I do
no,
this?
no, I never, no, no.
No.
I was like a theater kid,
Yeah.
and I hung out with some of the stoners in high school, but I was a theater kid, and like I guess I was talking to my best friend from high school, who's a guy, and I was like, we were so bad. He's like, we tried to be bad, but we couldn't. He said, remember when we decided to go on a drinking binge? And I was like, I don't remember. He said, yeah, you said we're gonna go on a 2-week drinking binge. And after the first day, I came to your house and you were like, oh, I'm too hungover. I'm not drinking. Like I just
Yeah.
couldn't,
Like,
I couldn't sustain it. I always say like I have ADHD, so it's hard for me to like. I never even when I smoked, I didn't even smoke regularly because it
I didn't smoke
requires
regularly.
dedication.
No.
You know, like I can't do something every day. That's a lot. That's too
Question:
much to
Can you
ask.
hold? I can't hold. I can't hold a grudge. Can you hold a grudge? I can't.
No, but
No.
I get so pissed off, and then if someone
And
apologizes, I will forgive them anything.
okay,
Like you could murder me, and I would be I'd
is
be
this
like,
an
it's okay.
ADHD thing? Maybe I don't know if I have it. I've been told by people my whole life,
By other
but I've
people.
never like. Well, I had to make a phone call, and then I had to talk to somebody else, schedule a consultation through the phone call, and then after the consultation, schedule an appointment. And I remember I made the phone call. I was on hold for a minute, and I was like, "Oh wait, my friend's calling me," and that was like 4 years ago, and I haven't called back to see if I have. Because that friend, it's like, "What are you gonna do? Give me Adderall?" I don't want Adderall, so it's like,
You know, a lot of ADHD goes undiagnosed because you never get around to going to the person to diagnose you. Like it took me until I was like almost 50 years old to get diagnosed.
okay, so I got a few
And I
years to
knew,
get
yeah,
diagnosed.
and I knew I had it. I mean, it was like, duh. I mean, like you could follow me around for one day and you'll be like that. But it's the inattentive type, which it's not like the constantly moving type.
I don't move too much.
It's the daydreaming
I
type.
do the leg shaking a little
Oh
bit.
yeah, I'm constantly fidgeting, like, but unseen, you know.
I got the right leg shakes. Do you repeat things? I do this where I repeat the same thing over for like 2 days.
Oh yeah,
I catch a phrase and something, and I'm just repeating it.
yeah.
And the first one was like in middle school. It was like Robert something, but now it's like I'm not a copycat, but I hear something.
I'm not a copycat.
But I hear something one of my friends say, and then I say it, and then it just and keep saying it and then they start saying it, and then now there's just like these stupid inner circle things that haven't like I make fun of his one friend for I don't know how many we barely even talk to him anymore, and I still do the same thing because like my buddy was gonna move to Miami one year, right? And then the other friend was a little bit jealous or upset, and he was like he there was some Dominican dude that barely speak English. He's like, oh, this guy, he doesn't know. He was like, oh, he lives in Miami. There's no jobs there, so don't. He's like, what's I was like, he's like Bolivia knows or something. And I still do it to this day. Like Bolivia knows. You're like, so it's no.
I don't know if that's an ADHD thing, but I will tell you, I have little phrases like that that I still pop in my head immediately when I hear something that
Uh,
somebody said 30 years ago.
so you were in Lake County Jail, right?
Yes, yes.
How was that like? You worked at Lake
I
County
worked.
Jail.
Yeah, let's just clarify. I was free to go every day. But
Work release. Okay.
yeah, I would dream about being stuck in there all the time. I just worked one day a week for about 8 years, on and off,
Damn, you
teaching.
did a bit.
It was pretty. I did. I was 8 years in Lake County Jail. Let me tell you.
You can say that.
Rough. Um,
But full disclosure, Lake County Jail is pretty nice compared to this place. We're the one over by
Yeah,
Little Village. Because
yeah,
my
it's where I
dad went
stayed
to
in
both.
California.
I visited at both of them, and I was
Yeah,
like, "Oh, this is nice." When he
it's
went,
it sucks to be in jail. Like
yeah.
let's just, but it's better. Um, yeah.
What were you doing? You were storytelling.
Yeah,
I
I
can't
was
remember.
teaching creative writing and theater making class, and so it was all people
So,
who were
so I
volunteering.
don't think they have that at Cook County Jail.
They do.
Probably they
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
Oh, okay, judging.
It's in the women's. I didn't teach at that one,
Mhm.
but it's in the
Was
women's
this?
pod.
Were you in the men or the women's pod?
Women, just
Oh,
women.
okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I always say it's like people are like, oh God, you were in jail. Was it scary being in a room alone with all those inmates? And I'm like, it's like book club except without the margaritas. Like it's women complaining about men and crying about their children and talking about all the ways they're disappointed and how things turned out. It's fucking book club.
How'd they end up in jail? You got some? You remember some characters?
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of them just because of drug issues
Drug,
or card fraud or blah blah blah.
cracking,
But
car
yeah,
cracking.
but and DUIs that went horribly wrong. But I was in there with more than one murderer. And here's one of the things that happened to me is I taught with a friend of mine, and she never looked to see what anyone did. And I couldn't help myself. I Googled every fucking person in there. And
Yeah,
it's
right.
terrible. I mean, I wanted to know. And some of them were bad. Most of the women who were in there for murder, it was almost always their own children, which is
Casey
really
Anthony style. Not
it's like,
I forgot the one from the '90s who blamed the
yeah.
Mexican. Do you remember her? Remember
Oh yeah, no, I think she's
or an Asian?
yeah, she blamed a black man.
Okay,
It was the one who drove her two kids into the pond
yeah.
because she wanted to be with a different guy who didn't want kids.
Kurt Metzger had a joke about
Yeah.
her. Susan Smith.
Susan Smith.
Susan Smith. Remember Susan
Awful.
Smith? No relation. Justin's pull up Susan Smith really quick. We'll just put it in the background. But no, I remember. Yeah, she was she blamed was she the cable guy
I can't remember.
with Jim Carrey? No, okay.
Oh, have I seen the cable guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember it.
There's a scene in it. I remember it because it makes fun of that whole blaming. Like there's a scene where Ben Stiller's playing one of the Menendez brothers, but the cable guy version of the Menendez brothers, and they're playing the tape while he's in prison. They playing the audio tape. Oh,
There she
okay.
is,
Let's
yeah.
see. Let's just see. Family background by 1994 by drowning in the South Carolina lake. Oh, so I was just in North Carolina.
Oh, there you go. It was so close. North, south. What's the difference?
Yeah. She incarcerated. Rest in peace.
Mm.
Her father committed suicide when she was 6 years old, and she tried to kill herself at 13.
Mm.
But she was part of the Christian Coalition, anyways. Oh, and she was molested. Okay,
Okay.
we see what happened there. But you were the murders for which degree? Do you remember? Did you look up
I
first, second,
didn't
third?
look up the degrees, and some of them were just awful. And there was one case of a woman that I just loved this woman, and it was clear to me from working with her that she literally had some kind of psychotic break and did something crazy. She had so much. I mean,
Second degree. Okay.
yeah, and she was found guilty, and she later killed herself in prison. And she was, I just know from all the years that I worked with her that she was not an evil person. But a couple of the other ones, it was
Were
like,
you bad?
yeah. I mean, and the thing is, I'm a real like super bleeding heart. Like everybody deserves. I go in there with this certain kind of mentality when I first went in, and then later I was like, you know what? Some people really need, like, I am sort of like almost a prison abolitionist on some level,
Yeah.
but then I'm like, no, you know what? Not everybody. No, some people are just really bad and they need to be far away from the rest of us.
Yeah,
And
there's some fucked up people.
yeah, a couple of those people are like, but most of the time, um, dude, don't even get me started on the criminal justice system. Like, it's not a good solution.
Yeah, because I'm like, part of me is like, I'm not really for the death penalty. When I was younger, I was like, ugh. But then I'm like, I looked at it, so I was like, oh man, maybe not. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, if it worked out properly, but it don't. So it's
Yeah.
like, at least where you're in prison, you can get out if you're bad. But
Right.
it's like, let's not.
It was eye opening. It was and it's interesting Lake County because it's very diverse, There'd be, white ladies there was a lady from Bannockburn who I really connected with.
Bannockburn,
Yeah.
North Shore.
Yeah,
The
big time.
Dominic's used to be at the Bannockburn Court. Rest in
Definitely.
peace, Dominic's. I
Very
still love Dominic's.
And this woman in there was in there. She had just drug problems, but she was from a wealthy family, and she was desperately calling her son, trying to figure out how he could get his college interviews and everything scheduled, but she didn't want to she couldn't call anybody because it'd be like the call is coming from Lake County Jail. And her husband was, I don't know, it was a really interesting because it was a vast, economically diverse, racially diverse in every other possible way. And all these women would sit in a little room together and write stories about their lives. And it was pretty cool. I think the coolest thing about it was we would do a play at the end based on all the
Okay,
stuff
like a
that they were-
stand-up class.
Yeah,
a little bit? Do a
yeah,
little stand-up at the end.
like a real play based on the stories that they wrote. And they did it for all the other inmates, and you'd see these women file in with this look on their like, Jesus, fucking stupid thing we have to go to. And then by the end, they would be so engaged in it, and they'd stand up and give a standing ovation. And there'd be crying and people
It's like a
laughing.
movie.
It was so amazing. It was, and I think my greatest moment was,
Mhm.
was when one of the women had worked the whole time to be in the play, and she was scheduled to be released, and she asked the warden
Oh,
to
that's
let her stay in one more day so she could do the show. So she stayed in jail an extra day to finish the show.
Would you do that, Justin? To produce or edit? If you were in editing, I think I would. That's pretty touching.
It was pretty good.
This is like a movie. It sounds like a few movies that go in my head. There's Girl Interrupted. I don't think anybody killed anybody in that.
Yeah.
League of Their Own. They're not in jail, but I'm just thinking of movies with a bunch of women in it, right?
Yeah. Well,
Bridesmaids. Okay, I'm running out.
it's a lot more boring than Orange is the New Black, though. Like
Never seen it.
Nothing exciting. That movie, like lots of crazy stuff. It's jail's pretty boring. So
Have you been arrested?
I have not.
No, right. Justin, you haven't been arrested, right? And I thought, like when I met my girlfriend and her friend, I was like, "You've been arrested, right?" And they're like, "No, who gets arrested?" And her friend was like, "Really?" Because I thought just everybody I got arrested. My
Everybody.
dad was arrested. A bunch of my friends were arrested. So I thought, like, you grow up, you think this is normal. Like, I was like, how do you, what? It was so weird to me. It's like, you never got arrested once, like almost a DUI. Like, I don't have a DUI, but, I have a few close ones. But, like, something you got close. Okay. But, the suburbs. Did you drive around? Were you drinking in Helen Park? Or you left New York by then?
Uh,
Because
I, I, my dad just died, so I can say this now because he's never gonna hear it. No, yeah, I was drinking and driving.
but
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
suburb, because it's
in the
different in the
suburbs.
suburbs. Like, you gotta, I don't know, in the city is, cops don't bother you. In the
Yeah.
suburbs, like, I have routes. I know we're like, I don't know if you ever been to Mundelein. Mundelein, there's a street called 45. It's like
Mhm.
DUI central. It's like, and let's say if you never got a DUI, you want to fuck it, let's try it out. Go to Mundelein, drive on 45, maybe have a cocktail, DUI. Like, my buddy's got a DUI. I almost got a DUI there. I picked up a friend who got a DUI. Like,
Oh,
she was on the way home too, and then she was done, and she was like, you know what? She made a left turn. Let me hit that Taco Bell really quick, and then few hours later, she's like, Giovanni, nobody else is picking up, and I was like, I was in a little girl's bed. Sounds kind of weird, but I was actually,
explain.
yeah, I was at a friend's house, and he was with his lady that he
Mhm.
slept with, and we were all there, and then the daughter was with the son, well, no, with the dad. So I was like, I was in that room. I got put in that room because I was, the friend. I was like, all right, I'm done. You guys go do the nasty. I'm gonna go over here and sleep. And then I remember I got it, and I was like, fuck it, I'll go. At the time, I allegedly did maybe drugs at the time, so I did a stimulant that woke me up.
Allegedly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
allegedly, I did a stimulant that woke me up, right? And then it's a powdery, but now people don't do it because there's fentanyl. Ugh.
Yeah.
But anyways, I remember I got up and I was like, you know what? I got nothing else going on. I like looked around, saw the stuffed animals, like I don't want to be here anyway. So I was like, let's go. And then it's like, so no, anyways, DUIs. But you started comedy. Did you start comedy because of the boat tours, or is that where you got your taste for it? Because you were one of the architectural boat
Yeah, I
tourists,
was a
not tourists. You were the
I was
leader.
a tour guide. Wow, you did a deep dive. Yes, I did that, and it did give me. I mean, it. I basically did stand up on that boat all the time, because you have to rip
What's the deal
with
with
all the.
Frank Lloyd Wright? No.
Yeah, yeah, like, what's the deal with all the bridges? Yeah, no. I had a lot of Trump jokes, and this was I was doing this in 2005,
Mhm.
so it was well
That was the
before
old Trump.
the old, yeah, the Trump.
You're
I'd be like,
fired. That
yeah,
guy. Yeah.
yeah, that guy. Remember that guy
Ivanka
who we
before
thought was
that.
kind of funny and just a joke that would nothing have whatever. Yeah. And I'd be like, now building a monument to Trump's ego. Like, it's a monument to his ego.
Oh,
Like,
the
I had all these jokes about
tower.
the tower.
Yeah.
So we go by the tower. They were building it at the time. Um, but I had to sit and talk to tourists while we were waiting. So I had a shtick that I would do with, like, where are you from? And I had crowd work. Now, as a comic now, I'm terrible with crowd work and I never do it. Should just pretend like we're on a boat. Maybe that's the key. But yeah, so I did that, but that wasn't really
That wasn't the catalyst.
that
That
was not.
was what
No.
was the one that was like, man, I want to do stand up.
So I was an actor for like 20 years and not terribly successful. I mean, I did a lot of black box theater in Chicago. I was in a bunch of theater
What does that
companies.
mean? That's a smaller
It's just
theater.
like a real small theater, usually with just a couple of equity contracts, which is the union. And it's just like you don't make any money, and you just like you work really, really hard and put on a show. And sometimes they're amazing, and like 60 people come, and it's over. Um, and I loved it. But acting is a really weird thing because you're constantly having to reference yourself and what you look like and everything, trying to get a part. And it's very, in theater, especially when I was doing it in like the 80s and 90s and
You
early,
seem normal, but I'm saying this because I've been around actors and I don't like actors.
yeah,
When I usually
yeah,
around, it's like
yeah.
they're a little bit, yeah, they're like is it self obsessed?
Well, yeah,
It's
you
insanity.
have to be thinking constantly about how you're going to, who you are, and how people are perceiving you to get a part. And it was all a lot of women doing it, and a lot of parts for men. So it was very competitive, and I never really cracked it. Like, I had some roles where I feel like I was really good, and I was a decent actor. I know that, but I wasn't great. And so then I got married, had a kid, and my husband owns a bar, so I wasn't, so
Yes.
he works at night. We have this kid, and I can't do theater anymore. So I started doing
Yeah,
some,
kids take
yeah, kids, let me tell you. And I was old when I had the kid, but by that time
40, right?
I was 42, yeah, when he was
Okay.
born. So, um,
Open
and
adoption, right?
yeah,
We'll get to
yeah,
that.
exactly.
I think my next guest after you, she's the mother in an open adoption.
Oh, okay,
So she
cool.
had the kid and the blah, blah, blah. Okay,
Oh,
the
okay,
bar, the
yeah.
acting. Sorry.
So anyway, I started doing storytelling. I loved it. But it's like it's writing. It's very precise. It's very, and I always loved comedy. I always wanted to be a
Who'd you
stand-up.
like? Did
I,
you stand up fan or just comedy in
s-
general?
Comedy in general, but when I was a little kid, my dad and I would listen to all the old Bob Newhart records and all the old George Carlin, like the button up, the early
Oh, before
Carlin.
he was like,
Before he was like the hippie, I mean, he was still doing like the hippie dippy weatherman and
yeah.
like these other things. And I memorized all of these albums, and I would do the routines for my dad, and he would laugh. He would be like, "Oh, and I liked, it was like Steve Martin, and
Steve Martin.
just
Right. Who's before me? And did you like Steve Martin? A lot of people like Steve Martin, but I didn't know him as
as a comic,
yeah.
with it was very
Idiot. I just knew him from that movie where is it called Idiot or Idiot
um
Buffoon?
the jerk,
The Jerk,
yeah, the
right?
jerk.
And I remember seeing it as a kid. I don't know, but George Carlin. I think it's around your surroundings because I had a black box. My dad bought a black box. My dad was insane, but the black box is not an insane thing he did. But he did a lot of crazy things. He's still crazy. He's in Mexico. He messaging for money, smokes crystal meth. He's kind of wild. He has another family, Latino dad, Mexican. But he had a black box, and we had HBO, so it was Carlin, like Carlin and Chris Rock were like my
Yeah,
inspirations, and all the little not indie comics, but the other comics on Comedy Central because
yeah,
that's what I saw. So that's
yeah.
like George Pryor, Richard Pryor. Like no one's didn't even know he was a comic until I was older because he
Yeah.
wasn't on the black box. It wasn't up. You know what I mean?
Well, when I was a little kid, I mean, I'm like, let me
Cosby. Cosby was an album
Oh,
guy.
I did love Cosby. I mean, I loved Cosby. All those great albums about his stories about being a kid and all that stuff. Um, so it was albums. Yeah, I wasn't seeing much. Um,
I still
but
listen. I'm more of a listener even now. 'Cause I
yeah,
drive a lot, so
yeah,
it's,
I
I
like to
like
listen.
listening, but watching every once in a while. It's
Yeah,
either listening or
mhm,
live or
yeah,
being there. I
yeah,
like to watch live comedy.
totally. Um, but it was always something I secretly wanted to do. But it was like women aren't funny, and you're gonna get just roasted for what you look like, and I just was like, ugh. It was really
Hillary, who's saying this? Like just people in general,
just
high
just
school, other
like
actors?
when I would go to shows and see like I just saw what it looked like, comedy shows. So when I would lived in New York, um,
You moved to Brooklyn, right?
I lived in Spanish Harlem, Spanish
Come
Harlem.
up, yeah.
Yeah, I was at 117th and First Avenue, like middle of Spanish Harlem, in the 80s. And my friend was dating this comedian named Dave, who had a best
Attell.
friend. It was Dave Attell. It was. But the thing is, I didn't realize it was Dave Attell until like 5 years ago. I was like, that was Dave Attell. So I saw Dave Attell when he was in town recently. I saw the show. He was amazing. I saw him smoking a
I
cigarette.
missed. We didn't get the tickets on time. I was gonna see it at the Milwaukee Improv, and it was like we're trying to figure out a babysitter. Let's go Friday. Like I usually see him either every year or every other year. I love seeing
Well, I'd
Attell.
never seen him before. I see him smoking a cigarette, and I'm like, "Hey, Dave Attell," and he goes like, "Yeah," and I go, "I know you," and he's like, "What?" I said, "I used to hang out with you and Dee Dee," and he goes, "Dee Dee?" I said, "Diana Lewis." He's like, "Yeah, I dated." I was like, "I know." He's like, he had no memory of me. I'm like, "Dave, I have a picture of him somewhere at my house, and I'm gonna find it." He had a friend named Dave who still, and he told me, I said, "You had another friend named Dave," and he's like, "Yeah, Dave. He's another not as well known as Attell, but another well-known comedian." And I hung out with the four of us hung out all the
You
time.
think Dave? No, oh, man,
I
it's
follow
just-
him on Twitter. I could find his last name. But
okay.
anyway, I remember going to see Dave Attell because he was dating my friend at this 24-hour stand-up thing where everyone did like 4 minutes somewhere in the village. And he was up at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I watched like 50 comics. I mean, now it's like, that's just Tuesday. I do
An open mic.
I like host an open mic. So what the hell? But I remember just thinking that it was so rough for the women, It was
Oh,
just
you're
like,
So you're in
oh,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's,
But yeah, that's crazy because I did know a
did he have
Dave Attell.
hair?
Yeah, he was he was cute. I mean, I mean,
I love David. Can
He
you pull
was
up
he
David Tell? I
was
just want to look at him. Do you know David? You know David. You're messing with me, right?
he was
Throw this
he
at you.
was
He looks
yeah.
just like Susan Smith. That's crazy.
Funny how that works.
Look at
There
Dave.
he is.
Look at
So
go to images. Go
the
to
funny thing is,
images.
I would look at his picture now, and I'd be like, I don't know if that's the guy. And then I Googled him in the '80s, and I was like, that's the guy.
Go to 80s. David Tell. What'd you type? David Tell 80s. I just want to see.
Yeah,
If people
'cause
don't, I was just watching David Tell the other day with my girlfriend. It was his Roadwork special.
that's the
Yeah, look
guy.
at him, dude. Would you?
He was just
I'd kiss him.
he was
Look at him. Look
he
at
was
him.
just like
He's one of my favorite comics. If not, maybe my favorite comic. You see a little picture. It was him. It's not in here, but it was like him, Louis, Sarah Silverman, somebody, or maybe Mark Maron. They're all together when they're
mhm,
young.
mhm.
And look, he had that Mexican joke. Can we just type in Mexican dinosaur joke? Really quick? I just let me hear a David Tell joke really quick. I love David Tell. I can't. I'm going to his website and I'm gonna find the next time he's in here or in Chicago. Racist dinosaur. It's a quick joke, right? Let's just listen to a quick David
Okay,
Tell
sure.
joke.
Yeah, do it.
Sorry,
Sure.
this is for Dee Dee. So are you. Remember the tsunami? Oh, he's not wearing a hat. He wears a hat now.
Yeah. Totally.
Oh, this is the long dad jeans. Ooh. Shout out to Chuck Browder with 135 subscribers. Get to the Mexican joke. Now he's drinking water. What theater is this at? Just skip a little bit. Just get to the Mexican dinosaur. Okay, Melton. I really slowed down this podcast. I just want to hear this joke. It's climate change now, by the way. Here we go. Talking dinosaur. I don't like wireless.
Hey, dinosaur buddy, since you are fuel, what the next untapped resource in this country is that we can burn. What did you say?
Burning Mexicans as fuel.
It's fuel.
But
Okay.
all right, let me pull back for the David Tell thing for a second. I'm like, feel like a fanboy, like he's here. Like, can I show you a picture of David Tell? All right, we'll get back to our regularly scheduled podcast after I do this. Who was your favorite comic? Because obviously, I think mine was David Tell. And did you watch Insomniac? Were you a Tell fan?
No, I didn't know that was him. I didn't ever put it together that was. I think I remember
This is
that.
me and Dave.
Oh my God, there you are.
And this is me and Dave. I'm
That's
smiling, but
wild.
it's blurry. Let's do the non-blurry one. Can they see it?
Mhm.
Can they see me and David Tell? I have a picture with David Tell, Nick DiPaolo, and he was on Mad TV, black dude. He gets criticized for his weight, and why Neil Brennan would criticize him for his weight and not being successful
I
because
can picture his face, and I can't remember his name.
he was on Mad TV.
Yeah,
Okay,
I can see him.
but those are people I had picked, and I might have one picture with Adam Carolla, but I didn't want to because I wanted to go see him, and then the person I was with at the time was like, "Hey, you should take a picture with him." I was like, she's like, "Just go. You're gonna," because I'm more like, I don't want to, I don't want to be that guy, that fanboy. And I was like, "All right," I was like, "Can we take a picture?" She's like, "Yeah, okay." And I took a picture, and I was like, because I feel weird a
Yeah.
little bit. Were you around the famous people when you were acting, or is it more theater people?
No, most of the people I knew got famous after I knew them. They weren't famous when I knew them. So, like, I went back to
Steven.
Steve Carrell. I went back to the college. We went to Denison University in Granville, Ohio, and about 6 or 7 years
Liberal
later,
Arts College.
yeah,
I went to
yeah.
Liberal Arts College, Lake Forest.
Oh, Lake
College.
Forest College.
Yeah,
There you
yeah.
go. Yeah. Similar kind of feel, of leafy campus, small town. And I went back and taught, and there was this wonderful young actress, and I was like, she's gonna go places. She's beautiful, she's super talented, she's really nice and genuine. She can sing, she
Meryl
can dance, she
Streep.
can act. Jennifer Garner. Yeah, I was like,
Oh,
you're a terrific. I'm sure you'll do very well, And then I remember going back to my same job that I had before I left for that thing in the office and going downstairs. I was like in my 30s, and she was on the cover of Rolling Stone, and I was like, fuck, my life sucks.
I
I'm
was
still
teaching.
doing doing the same thing I was doing when I was teaching her. So
And she's going on 13,
she's
going on 30. Good
yeah.
movie. I like that. I don't know if you guys saw 13 going on 30 with Jennifer Garner.
I
No?
did not, but she's terrific.
It's a great
Yeah.
scene in it. And then I know she dated J-Lo's current husband. What's his name?
Well, she was married to him. Yeah.
Oh, they were.
Yeah.
Did they have any kids?
3 kids. I know,
Oh,
I know
shit.
things, because we were tight. No, we weren't tight, but I did know her.
I know Demi Moore has some kids with Bruce Willis because unfortunately they just had a little thing going on. All right, but okay. So then you started stand up. You're like, okay, acting.
Yeah. And then I was like, I had a kid. I wanted to get out of my house. And if
It's
you're a
important when
parent,
you're raising a kid.
yeah.
Like my girlfriend, it's like something I just got to get out
You
because you're gonna lose your mind.
and
Cabin
if
fever.
and if you don't schedule it for like a real reason, you will never do it. So I was like, I heard about this stand-up class. So I took FemCom with Alex Cumin at the tail end of 2016. Our first class was the day after Trump was elected president. And I still
I
I
remember that
still
day.
remember
The
my
day before.
yeah,
Was it on mic? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I still remember my Facebook post, which is so embarrassing to say this. It's like the fact I just said that out loud, I should just shoot myself right now. But I remember writing, I'm going to take my first stand-up class. Don't feel much like, um, oh shoot, now I can't remember it. Don't feel much like something or standing up. I don't know. It was my whole point was that we were all so depressed. Everyone walked in
I
and were
don't.
like,
Yeah.
fuck, what are we doing here? Why are we, what's the point? But it was great and I loved it, and I paid for it, so I had to get out of the house once a week. But then I didn't do anything. I did like 3 open mics, and it made me
Do you remember
nervous.
the mics you did?
The very first one I ever did was the
Irish
Irish
Eyes.
Eyes. Yes,
When it was on Fridays? No,
it
it
was
wasn't on Fridays yet. They
it was,
they reopened it. Yeah.
and it was yeah, and it was on Lincoln,
Yeah. It was
and it was
close.
fun.
It was close to this other the 2 other mics. It's close to Hallis, some Irish
Yeah,
name. What's your
yeah.
ethnic background?
I'm Scottish mostly.
Okay.
I don't know. Um, yeah, my brother had a DNA test, and it was like, he's like, don't even bother. It's so boring. It's like 90% British Isles and like 2% Iberian Peninsula. Like it's
I
nothing.
don't even know where
It's like
Iberia
it's
is.
like Spain. There's like nothing.
Ooh.
So that's the most exotic part of me is no words.
Scottish is kind of exotic, right?
They're
Hard to understand.
hard to understand. What my dad's family's from the Orkney Islands, which is like windswept in the middle of nowhere,
Golf.
and
Sorry.
golf. Yeah,
St. Andrews. The
golf.
beginning of golf.
Yep.
I love
But
the Scottish now.
this is like islands way out in the middle of nowhere, and my dad went
It's
with
not
his
like the
cousin.
Bahamas.
No, it's like rocky and treeless and cold. And my dad was a good guy, but he was not a particularly positive person. And apparently he looked around and went, "Well, this makes sense." Like, okay, this explains a lot. This landscape explains my attitudes about life.
Tell me about him not being positive because it sounds like me a little bit. Like I'm a happy person, but I say a lot of negative comments all the time. It's all I do,
Yeah.
unfortunately, and I
Well,
can't help it.
my go-to joke about my dad would be, well, so he was a corporate lawyer, and whatever you did,
Ooh.
you'd be like,
I caddy for a lot of corporate
yeah,
lawyers.
yeah, totally that kind of guy. And you'd be like, Dad, I won the lottery. Well, okay, that's great. Now here's what you got to look out for. Um, that was his. I was like, here. I mean, my husband runs a bar, and he would do like football squares at the Super Bowl. My dad would be like, well, you got to watch out for that because they can get you.
He's the legal counsel.
Like it totally
everything.
everything was like, here's the angle, here's how they're gonna get you, and here's how you're gonna, and he was like, Scottish people are known as being cheap
Mhm.
and liking a deal and saving.
I
So
didn't know that.
yeah, and my dad, he just died in January, and my sister and I were joking because she went to go get the casket with my stepmom, and we were like, Dad always said like buy a luxury car, but get it used. Like because
Yeah.
don't buy it on the, it loses value right off. So we were joking that he'd be like, no, this is a very nice casket, but see if you can get one with a little dent on the side because no one's even going to see that. You can
Nobody.
still get the nice one. Maybe they'll knock a few bucks off of it for you.
That's yeah. You see, as me, as somebody else, I think, I was like, yeah, perfect sense. But I feel like if I was picking out like a casket with my girlfriend for her family member, she'd be like, "No, we don't get it." But it's like, I think it's a dude thing. We're more like, is it not? Am I thinking logical? But it's like 1 + 2 = 3.
Right. Yeah. You're not going to spend a month. You're just going to put it in the ground. You don't want to go too
I
crazy.
I just learned something the other day. I don't know if it was on TikTok or what. I don't have a TikTok, but it was on something, right?
Mhm.
I mean, I have it. I download it, I upload a video, I delete it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was something about if your significant other, if she's a female, if she has if something happens before I ask her, do you want a solution or do you want comfort? And I don't know where I saw it, but I was like, oh, okay. Because me, I'm a dude. I'm like blah 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 fix it. But sometimes it's like I didn't know. You just sometimes you just want to be listened to or comforted. And I was like, I'm a dude, so it's like solution, fix.
Yeah.
It was my guy friends. It's like, oh yes, that's perfect because we usually just want the solution, not really comfort. Is that gonna help me?
Is that, I would say, yeah, just listen, validate their feeling. I learned this with my kid.
Mhm.
Um, e-
Like
just
parking a ticket,
it's
validate.
like validate your feelings. Like school sucks. Instead of being like, well, you have to go and it's really fine and blah blah blah. Just be like, sometimes school does suck. Yeah, I know. I find that it's more effective most of the time, unless there's like a recurring problem that you actually have to solve, and then you do have to solve it. But
Yeah, you see, with me is like, well, I don't know how you are with your kid. When my niece is, my kid's still like, he's almost a year. He's gonna be a year.
oh,
Yeah, St. Patrick's Day, he'll be a year, so it's
hmm
coming up. But like my niece, I'm very realistic. I talk to kids like adults, right? So she was like something about college sucking, and I was like, yeah, college does suck, and I wish I never went. And this is that. It's a scam unless you want to be an engineer or a doctor. Like they don't teach you about entrepreneurship or even like welder. Most of my friends make more money than me, and they're like welders and plumbers, and And I went to this rant, and I was like, "You're right." You know what I mean? Or like one time, all right, this is kind of dark, but like I was like, "What's going on there? What's with that lady?" And there was this apartment we're in. There's a lady shooting up heroin in the car. I was like, "Well, that lady shooting up heroin. It's a drug. You know what drugs are." And then it's like she probably had some growing up, or her parents weren't nice to her, and then she's dealing with her emotions by doing heroin. Like, so I don't like
I,
the kitty
you know what?
talk.
I do that with my son.
Yeah,
I mean, hopefully age appropriate when they're ready. But no, I tell him everything.
yeah.
I tell him everything. We talk about everything. Totally. I think it's a good way to go.
What
If they're
is?
4, maybe no. But,
Yeah, for it,
but
it's like.
but once, they can handle stuff. If you talk to them about why, and like you said, she's probably had some problems in her life, and blah, blah,
So she's shooting up the
they're gonna
heroin.
see it anyway. So you might as well talk about what they saw because they're
Yeah.
gonna remember it.
Yeah, they're gonna know. An open adoption is when
Well, it can mean a lot of things. It's basically just
it's not like an open marriage, right?
no.
So
You can see other children. Um, I can hug other kids. That's what it means. I can even tell them I love them if I want to. Um, um,
that's funny.
it just means that it's supposed to be that for the child that they know everything about their history and their story. And in our particular case, we have a completely open relationship with his birth mom and her whole family.
And this makes you a little Jewish adjacent, right?
Oh yes, because
Okay.
my son's um, birth mom is Jewish. I mean, she's actually half Jewish. So my kid's like a quarter Jewish.
Okay.
But he does get to be. It's funny growing up in Highland Park, and the whole thing with like in
Jews.
the Jewish thing is the maternal line is
Yeah, the
yeah,
mom. If the
right.
mom is Jewish, the mom takes the kid takes mom's
Right,
religion.
right.
Yeah.
So, I kind of laugh that I ended up with a more Jewish kid than I would have had if I'd married one of the Jewish guys I dated before my husband, because he's actually is Jewish through his maternal line. But, yeah, they're an amazing family, and, we have a great real I think of them as like in-laws for my kid. So I have
Okay.
in-laws for my husband, I have in-laws for my kid, and all 3 of us have our we're a family, and each other's families are our family. So I don't see them even as, like, just my kid's family, like, they're a part of my extended family. Um, so, yeah, we've, like they live in Michigan now, we've stayed at their house and stayed over for a few nights, and
Detroit,
they have no,
the
they're in
rappers, like
no,
Eminem,
no,
8 Mile.
they're in South Haven, it's very nice.
The golf course is
Yeah,
in South
it's very,
Haven, but
very beautiful, very
off
lovely.
my memory.
They're right along the lake there in the pretty part of,
Yeah. A lot of Iraqis in Michigan or outside of
Yeah,
Detroit. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. They're in like the the places where y'all go where we vacation. But
There's apples in Michigan, right?
there's apples, there's cherries, there's all kinds of stuff. There's golf, there's beer,
Apple cider.
apple cider.
That's the first time I ever heard of it or so. I was in Michigan. I was in Ypsilanti,
Oh yeah,
which was next to some other college town.
yeah.
That's a college.
That's not far from Ann Arbor, I don't think.
Yeah, and I went to Grand Rapids.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't go to Mr. Man, this is kind of Mr. Grin's in Grand Rapids. It's a comedy club.
I don't.
Did you
Yeah.
did you ever go to any comedy clubs before you kind of started? And now when you want it, it's like, man, I really want to go there. So that was not my
Yeah.
thing. I remember I saw it, and in my head, I have it. I think of it. It looks like the DC Improv. I don't. That's my memory of it. It looks like the DC
Mhm.
Improv. Which I think Patrice O'Neill, Chappelle, there's good stuff going on at the DC Improv, and then I always wanted to go back, but I haven't because right when I maybe was getting decent enough to maybe feature there, it's kind of when I kind of COVID hit and I kind of backed off of stand up a little bit. But I told you I did that show the other day. That was
That's
so
It's been a little while, huh?
yeah. It's been here. I did the roast battles a few times. Did the show, but it's like then people. This lady was like, "Oh, do you do stand up or when's your next show?" And I was like, I don't know. Like she's like, "Really?" And I was like, "Well, you did really well." Like the other people weren't really good. You know what I mean? Like something
Yeah.
that's like I'm okay, but I'm not as good as you thought I would have been. It was bad. It was like one of the guy behind me he's a really nice guy. It was not too good.
Well, get those reps in, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I was gonna make sure I did a lot of crowd work or something.
Yeah.
Because now this is not what because I'm writing less where it's crowd. I have fun with new stuff or crowd work, but before it was because I remember I did a show and I was like I had no motivation to go, and then have you done the shit shows right where nobody's paying attention?
Oh,
Those bar
sure.
dive
Oh
shows.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Whereas like if you try to do material, they're like it's not happening.
No, it's yes. Yes, I've done those. It's weird too because like I started out doing the first shows I ever did, um, were these
You
mom
started
shows.
40?
I was 52 when I took a class, and so I really wasn't. It was I'd say I really started in earnest when I was about 54, probably about 4 years ago.
Okay,
I'm 58, so
you look 58,
well,
right?
well, thank
I
you.
know,
You look much older. No,
oh no,
uh, um, but I did these mom shows in the suburbs. There was a fun show called The Mother
you didn't cut your
Cluckers.
hair yet.
Yeah, my hair was.
But you have it because
No,
I don't know what happens
I
where
did the COVID gray.
people get older and they just do that short snip. Like I would see all the lady members. They'd get old. There was one lady who had long gray hair, beautiful, but everybody else, my
Yeah.
grandma, I don't know what happens. You just get tired of dealing with your hair, and
I'm gonna keep it. It's the only thing I got is the hair,
yeah,
until it gets too thin, and then people cut it because it's just too. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I did these shows at this bookstore in LaGrange, and it was a lot of fun. And
that's
they
out
were
there.
packed.
Oh.
There'd be like 75 moms just packed in there looking for something funny, and they would let anyone on the show basically if you were a woman. So there were great people on this show. I was on that show with like all kinds of really terrific comics in Chicago, but then just people who'd barely done it before. And I did that show a bunch of times, and that's where I kind of like started working out.
Get your legs.
Yeah, yeah. Because it was such a friendly audience, you could do almost anything and they would laugh. So, but then I just started doing shows where it was like people, it was ugly.
Yeah, and the mics were man, open mics. People who think all right, this is what comedy is. And they're like, hey, like I have friends, yeah, let me go to this open mic with you. And I was like, you don't want to do that.
No, you don't. Oh, anyone who's like, oh, I'd like to check. No, you don't.
No, you
don't do
don't.
that.
It's some of the saddest,
So,
crazy. You remember, Justin, remember you hosted an open mic? Oh my God. People understand. Like, I had a friend, like, I got to the point where at first it was like, oh, this stuff. But then I started enjoying it. Like, even when people did bad, I was like,
yeah. What
I got
did you host a mic?
for a little bit, I was an alternate. Yeah, actually, I did. Actually, a few. Now I forgot. I guess I did. I used to host Patsy's, where everybody hated the owner.
Oh, I went to Patsy's a couple times.
Oh yeah, people hated the
Oh,
owner.
I remember.
One
Yeah.
drink minimum, baby.
Yeah, I didn't mind because that was like my night out.
Yeah.
I would go and have some like a little bowl of soup and a beer or something, and then
Or they had all you can eat. fish and chips,
Oh,
and they had a
yep.
pretty good black and Caesar salad. I ain't gonna lie, it was good. Sometimes because I'm hosting there, so I'd have eventually maybe I'd have a meal or something like that. But
That's so funny.
yeah, I got my legs. I forgot I did host there. So
Yeah.
it was Oscar Carvajal. I don't know if you know him.
Oh, yeah, I know
He
Oscar.
he hosted before me. I'm
Mhm.
doing roast battle against him on the 23rd. So he hosted before me, and then he like made a post because he likes to make posts. He
Mhm.
likes to make announcements, right? Oh, he'll get drunk sometimes. He'll be like, "I think I'm better than these people. I'm not getting booked." It's funny to watch Oscar on social media. He was here, right? He was drunk. He came to do the roast battle podcast, and I was watching. I was like, "Oh, I was excited to see it." And then he was blitz before they even started. I was just like, "Come on, Oscar!"
Oscar, come on.
Like I wanted to like blitz. I've been, I used to be a. That was not during comedy. It was when I wasn't doing shows a weekend. That's when that Giovanni would come out.
That's
The
I
drunk.
did a bunch of park shows with Oscar and some some bar shows and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but he was hosting, and then I hosted, and then bars. You guys kick people out? Where's the bar or not the vicinity
Well,
that you
I'll
guys
say
are?
what it is.
Yeah.
It's the Four Moon Tavern in Roscoe Village. It's
Have you been to
it's
Four
great.
Moon? I've never been to Four Moon.
It's
I'm
a
from the
it's a
suburbs.
great bar. It's been around for 24 years now.
And you guys have had it for 24
Yeah,
years?
and I don't own it. I'm not. He had it before.
Touch it.
Yeah, I don't touch it. He won't let me work there. Nothing. He has a
Are you allowed to
partner.
go? Are you allowed in? Is
I'm
this
allowed
like
to go.
Bobolink?
It's like no girls allowed, no wives allowed. No, I used to go there a lot. I hardly ever. I mean, I don't go that much anymore. But he has a partner, which is funny because she's a woman my age who has a 16-year-old son, and people think they're married to each other. And there's one 16-year-old, but they are not. She's my sister wife.
Okay.
And
Sipe.
yeah, his or the work wife as he calls her. So he runs it with her, and they own the building, and he's the landlord and the janitor and the bartender, but it's a great place. It's an awesome neighborhood, fun, really cool
So it's
place.
not people haven't been gotten kicked out. I mean, like
No, it's
the
not.
nice,
No, it's in Roscoe Village. It's very
it's a
like,
nicer area,
it's a
right?
nice area, and they have food, so it's like they have a dinner rush. They have like families and stuff for dinner, and then later it's much more like bar like. But it's very lots of regulars, very friendly. It's a great place. It's like
Does your
yeah,
kid hate you now at this age? My
no,
sister hates me.
okay, because she's
Well, because
my
she wasn't my kid, but like for the first few years, I
Mhm.
kind of helped raise her, so I was like a dad brother. And right now she's, and I guess we're enemies. Like texts me sometimes.
a druther.
Yeah, druther, or yeah, and then like now she will text me sometimes, and then but she's in her room on the computer that I bought her. To get a thank you for. I bought her that, and I just got her a $50. What are those little fucking horses? My Little Pony. I got her
Oh,
this $50 My Little Pony, right? Because she sent me a thing. I was like, "Hey, what do you want something for Christmas?" Because I usually give gifts after.
hmm.
I owe my niece one, by the way. Oh shit! All right, I'll message her. I get her something, and then she's like, "Oh, I want this My Little Pony." It was like $50, and I got it. I was like, "All right, I ordered it," and then she was like, "You didn't get the other ones?" And I was like, No, thank you." And I was like, yeah, and yeah, but she's at that age right now. We're
Yeah.
enemies.
Well, my kid is. I mean, we're we're way too good friends. It's crazy. He's an unusual kid. He's so creative and he's the funniest person I know. I mean, I'm not,
Oh,
and
he
I'm,
did some standing right in
oh
school,
God, he's
right?
so freaking funny. Every day, this kid, his wit is so sharp and his timing and
Jewish,
everything.
Jewish.
The- it's the yeah, he's got
The
the
baby,
the borscht belt.
the baby medicine
Yeah,
alarm
the
came
baby.
off. Yeah.
But he's so funny. But he is, you know, he's an unusual kid. So we spent a lot of time together. And this is funny. I was in Waukegan with him 2 weeks ago.
Walktown. That's
Yeah.
where I grew up.
Right? That's what I saw on your thing. That's where you're from. Because my kid wants to be a DJ. He does music production and he's into dubstep and electronic music.
Dude, that's
And
have the bass drop, right? When
yeah,
it drops.
all this stuff. So he writes this kind of music. He loves this music, but all the shows are like 21 and over. So when he was 13, my husband and I took him all the way to Grand Rapids and stayed overnight to take him to
Michigan.
see Excision. I don't know if you're
Do you know
familiar with
Excision?
Excision.
Pull up Excision.
Excision is insane.
How do you spell that?
Exision.
I'm thinking exhibit. Pimp My Car.
Excis. Yeah, there you go. It's bananas. We took him to
let's
this.
go to the Exhibition Mix live a little bit. Ooh, oh,
It's
me and
it's so loud.
me
I
and my
mean,
one of my
it's
best friends listen to type of watch these videos sometimes. Exhibit, throw in the middle somewhere, maybe a quarter in. Yeah, let's see.
it's just this is what it looks like. The whole freaking thing. Yeah,
Oh yeah, I have
yeah.
a lot of friends that
So
they brought back the dinosaurs.
here's my kid at one of these things.
Mhm,
He's very little for his age. He's very cute. I can say this because he's adopted. He's
mhm.
fucking adorable. And he's just like, I'm a fucking headbanger. I'm a fucking headbanger. So I
Is
took
that an
him
Exhibition lyric?
that it's just a thing that they say at certain point. There's like headbanging things.
Yeah,
And
because headbanging is more metal.
it's
I used to be a metal guy a little bit, so I was like, wait a second, this is not metal. This isn't headbanging.
this is
Whatever.
that's the yeah, and
Fight.
my husband was there. He's just standing behind my son.
Oh, you guys are at one of
Like,
these
yeah,
concerts?
yeah. We took him there. He was 13 and he was very little. And so my husband's just like standing behind him, like, don't anyone fuck with this kid. Cause everyone's high. Like everyone's doing ecstasy. I don't know
Oh,
whatever.
what's that? No, I'm kidding.
Mo-
Actually, if
Yeah,
quick plug, if you are a Patreon, I just released an episode where I allegedly did Molly with another comic who might be blocked, but it's on Patreon if you want to hear it right now. It's gonna be up for limited time because I do have a job, and then my baby, my girlfriend and her baby, he hears it. You know what I mean? I got to take it off, but it's on right now. So
allegedly.
allegedly,
Yeah.
we did Molly, but
Yeah. But yeah, so that was crazy. And then last 2 weekends ago, I took him to Waukegan to a place called Base Station.
I've heard of that.
Yeah. So
Where is that? Do you remember?
it's
Because
if you get off
I saw it on Facebook.
it's right off of like Belvedere Road, but west, just like west
Past the
of
Walmart.
41.
Oh, it's probably the old.
Between the two highways, between
It's probably
290 and yeah.
the not Golden Corral, but it was
There's a
like
bunch of hotels there,
I know where
little
it's at.
area.
Yeah,
and
that
it's
that
like,
building. So that building, which I'm pretty sure, pull up Base Station Waukegan. It used to be. I'm pretty sure it goes to different owners. Actually, I remember I was there one time and I was leaving, and the person I was with, it was like he was with a lady, and he was like, you know what? Let's go keep an eye on her. And he goes, and then she's dancing with a dude, and he goes up to her, and he was like, I'm done with you. And she was like, no, no. And then like I remember she was like dragging onto his leg. Go to a base station in Google Maps. I don't need to see these people dance. Uh, and I remember she was like holding on to him, and he's trying to leave, and she's grabbing his leg, and I'm watching, and the security guard's yelling at him. Yeah, go to Google Maps. Oh, by big ads. All right, okay. Yep, that's what it is. So,
Yeah.
okay, this is for some of the older people, not you. You're not old, but remember Montgomery Wards?
Oh yeah.
That was the Montgomery Wards back in the day when I
Yeah,
first moved to Waukegan. It was a Montgomery
That's
Wards. Do you know what
crazy.
Montgomery Wards is? Oh, you do? Oh, all right. I thought
Yeah, I've been on the architecture tour.
Oh,
That's right.
yeah.
There you go. Yeah, the old Montgomery, the old Wards building
Yeah, so
on
there's
the river.
yeah, big ads. I mean, I heard it's
Yeah.
okay, but the place where you get that used to be the old courthouse. So if you I can't move it with my finger, but down here there used to be allegedly a police officer that lived in these apartments that I might have slept with one time. And I remember in the morning she was drinking. I was like, oh my God, I'm supposed to be at work. What am I going to tell my CO is a commanding officer, and then she wasn't a liar, right? And I was like, look, this is what you do, because I'm an honest person. Back then I was, drinking, lying, you know what I mean? And I was like, tell him this, but don't tell him too much information. So I was helping her, and I was like, don't go to work yet, you need to sober up, blah blah blah. But yeah, that Duffset place is where
Yeah.
did you guys have big ass barbecue afterwards, or go to that? This Walmart is wild.
We did not. We just
Don't go to
went
that
straight
Walmart.
on home.
Yeah, don't. But people get robbed in this Walmart. I know people that got robbed, and yeah, that's not a.
I won't go.
That's an interesting one. You know, Walmart is like you see the memes, but that one is like, especially. Oh, we're running out of time.
Okay.
I don't know. If there's anything last things you want to say, or and then we'll go into plugs. But let me just see if there's something I wanted to ask you before. I don't know. Anything that I don't know. Maybe that. How about this? That annoys you or that irks you? That
What irks me? You know what irks
you
me?
hate.
Here's what I hate. Here's what I hate.
Hate
I
that.
hate when ladies in the bathroom pee on the seat and don't clean it up.
How? Don't you guys?
Because
Don't
they
y'all sit?
hover. There are some women who were like, I don't want to put my thighs on the seat where some other woman's thighs have been. Instead, I would like to hover above it and spray my urine all over the place, which I find disgusting. I would rather sit where your butt has been and you're not wiping your butthole all over it. I would rather sit where your legs have been than sit on your pee or hover over your pee.
I didn't know that's what happened.
I despise it.
I knew that like women's bathrooms were disgusting. Like I
Not
knew
as
they were
disgusting as the men's.
really.
Yeah, my
So you've
husband will
been
like the
okay,
men's
so he
rooms are
knows.
disgusting. He's like, men pee all over the floor. They're disgusting. He's like,
Yeah.
they're awful. He's like, yeah. We have some more stuff to deal with. There's the lady stuff that I don't have to worry about anymore.
Don't
But
flush your tampons.
don't flush.
My
Yeah,
friend's a plumber. Don't.
they call them rats, right? Because they have tails.
I never heard
Flush,
rats.
yeah, flush
Hey,
tampons.
there's
They're
freaking
called
rats over
yeah.
here.
Yeah, rats. It's got a tail on it.
I was looking at a squirrel the other day, and I was like, "Man, if you didn't have that hair, you'd be so fucking disgusting." Okay. Anyways, but I was like, so don't look at squirrels too much in their eye because then you can see the rodent in them.
They're very rodent. I was talking to my neighbor. He was walking his dog. I barely knew this guy, a Latino guy, with a very thick accent. And all of a sudden we hear this weird noise, and right at eye level there are two squirrels fucking.
Ugh.
And I was like, dude, it was so awkward. He just goes to me, "Love is in the air," and I was like, yeah. I guess it was very awkward.
Yeah,
To stand with your neighbor and watch two squirrels fucking.
no,
I
I don't.
agree.
I don't like squirrels, and
Yeah.
I don't like squirrel sex.
No,
And
yeah.
then they're rats, they're rodents, and then no squirrels matter. Right? I mean, I guess they're part of the ecosystem, right? Even mosquitoes, like the butterfly effect. If one squirrel gets killed, we all die or whatever.
Gets
But
hit by a.
do you have any plugs? This won't be out for a few weeks.
Okay,
Maybe
let's see.
6.
What have I got?
don't even know.
So I've been doing the Bad Moms of Comedy. I
All
don't know if
right.
you're familiar
Leah
with them,
did it,
but
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
Leah and I are
Berman, episode
core.
179.
Yes, we are core members of the Bad Moms of Comedy, which has been awesome. And we have a Mother's Day show at Zany's. We have
That's in May.
that's in May. Mother's Day is in May. I don't know what day, but it's in May.
Me neither.
Look it up on your calendar. And then the Friday before, we have a Mother's Day show with Bad Moms of Comedy at the Laughing Academy in Glenview. I do have
North Shore.
North
Okay.
Shore, baby, North Shore. What else? What else is that people actually want to see?
So social media. Do you no?
I mean, I do. I have it. I don't know what to do about social media because it started a million years ago with me just having pictures of my kid and my family,
Mhm.
and then I started adding comedians and putting my comedy stuff. So now it's like, here's a random
It
picture
gets
of
weird.
my kid making spaghetti, and then here's me. Like, I don't know what it is, but sure, check it out. Lindsay_Porter on Instagram.
The gram.
The
as the kids
gram.
call it.
And on TikTok, I have like 3 videos up there, and I don't even know. Apparently, my friend Megan told me that I have 2 TikTok accounts, but I didn't know that. So I don't even know what they're called or anything. But I do have some videos up there. One of them has a bunch of views, so I don't know. Um, and I am on this. This might not happen in time, but on March 11th, I'm doing a recurring show that I'm in the regular cast of called Menace to Sobriety at Lincoln Lodge, which is a fundraiser.
Like Menace to Society.
Yes.
John Singletary, right? Did he do
Right.
that? Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have no idea what this has to do with it's just a name that somebody gave it. It really has nothing to do with drinking. But Nora Dunn of SNL, she was on the cast many, many years ago. She is on this show, and it's been fun to do it with her. She does stand up. So I'm one of like a bunch of comics who are in this show with Nora Dunn. And all the proceeds benefit the Lincoln Lodge. So that's cool.
And then follow Lobo Den on Instagram. Okay, I guess I have a Twitter, Instagram. There's a Patreon. Like I said, if you want to support the podcast, because I usually put nothing on Patreon, but all the content is free. So I have this weird balance where there's people that just do Patreon stuff and they get a lot of, and since I don't get a lot, but I did put up a new episode. I found it in my hard drive, and there was some drug, there was a Molly, there was a mushroom, and there was a DMT episode. And I found the Molly one. I saw it, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. So I put it on Patreon right now. By the time this comes out, it might be on, might be off. I don't know. It's with a controversial person. I won't say their name, but you probably don't even know who they are. But it's out there right now. So follow the Lobo Den. I think that's it. Okay.
Okay.
Lobo Den.
Lobo Den, Lobo Den, Lobo Den, Lobo Den, Lobo Den.